Yo there guys, this is Cobb and welcome to a Sundays episode with the old school Sundays look to it. I want you guys to be able to see the footage a little bit better for this one, and there are actually no updates. This episode is going to be focused on a Warlords of Draenor Q&A. We are just over a month away from release now, and a lot of people are still really skeptical, myself included, so I thought it would be a good idea to answer a bunch of questions from you guys, just to kind of pool our thoughts a little bit. I'm going to go into as much detail as I can and try not to miss anything, and hopefully you guys will share your thoughts as well in the comments down below. It's always awesome for me to read through those and reply and all of that, so let's get right into it. The first question is from Matthias Christiansen, and he asks, do you have any plans for serious PvP in WoD, or are you just going to play for fun? And this really depends for me on how the expansion turns out. If numbers are tweaked and PvP gets its flair back sometime soon, and Destrolox just managed to stay arena viable, then maybe I look into playing PvP a little bit more seriously. But as things stand right now, I can't say that I have any plans to try and push ratings. I more just want the game to be fun and for PvP to get its mojo back. And as long as I do find PvP fun and rewarding, even if destruction is the absolute worst spec in the game, I'll be playing with friends and enjoying it. Because pushing ratings and stuff like that has never really been my thing anyways. I'm more into it for the laughs and the montage making and all that. Cormac Jackson says, like every other expansion, the feeling beforehand is mostly apprehension, as numbers among other things have not been tuned. How do you feel about WoD in a PvP sense? And more specifically, the lack of numbers. Now, a lot of you guys have already watched beta footage, I'm sure, and some of you have the beta yourselves, so I guess that a lot of you guys will already have an opinion on the current numbers in Warlords. My personal opinion is that they absolutely suck. When Warlords was announced, the number or item squish was one of the most highly anticipated features. I was so excited for it. Everyone was expecting Wrath of the Lich King health pools and damage, give or take 10k. What we instead got for health pools was a Mr. Pandaria reboot, as my fully geared Warlock on the beta has around 300k health, and then we basically got the damage of Cataclysm again, give or take 10k, and I can't help but think that this is not what anyone was expecting. Everyone I know who has played the beta agrees that the effect it has had on PvP has been massive. Everything feels sluggish and slow, and it feels like it takes forever to kill someone. Just thinking of Chaos Bolt dealing around 45k damage on average, that means that it takes 8 Chaos Bolts to kill someone, and that's if they just stand there and take it all without line of sighting or healing or popping anything. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not a big fan of Chaos Bolt in Mr. Pandaria either. I think that he had it right in Wrath of the Lich King, but surely I'm not alone in thinking that 8 Chaos Bolts to kill someone is just a little bit excessive. I'm really hoping that either damage is increased or, more preferably, health pools are just lowered. Just cut them in half. Give people around 150k health and just leave the damage as it is. Things should feel intense. I want people to be scared of Chaos Bolts, and I want to be scared of letting them get off their big damage too. I'm just worried that nothing is going to change. I hope I'm wrong, but the release is just over a month away, and a major tweak to numbers like this just feels like it should have happened by now. There is still time though, so I'm just going to keep on hoping. Michael Decker asks, how awkward is the gameplay without Fellflame when getting trained by melee? Now honestly, playing against melees without Fellflame is about as awkward as you would expect it to be. Just especially considering us Destrolox have also lost our backlash procs as well, meaning no more instant incinerates. Now the lack of Fellflames wouldn't even be a problem if melees had lost some of their gap closing abilities. For example, it is basically impossible still to kite a Windwalker Monk or a Warrior on the beta, and while they are hitting us, it is extremely hard to get a cast off. If some of their mobility had been stripped down, we'd be able to kite away for a few vital seconds, to a spot where we could maybe think about freely casting, but of course only until their gap closes are ready again. Another thing that could have helped us Warlocks out with mobility was the 90 talent Kill Jaden's Cunning, but that safety cord has also been severed, because of course in Warlords, Kill Jaden's is no longer the passive that it is in Mr. Pandaria, but it is instead an on-use 1 minute cooldown, 8 second duration, kind of Spirit Walker's Grace. Needless to say, this new Kill Jaden's Cunning pales in comparison to Akamon's Darkness. So yes, it is pretty awkward right now. Melees stick to us Warlocks like glue, dealing damage while also making it tough for us to cast anything. The only way that we can really land any damage back is by locking them down with a Shadow Fury, which is only once every 30 seconds. Casting with Unending Resolve can also work, just to use it as an aura mastery, or by trying to juke our way through every stun, interrupt and spell reflect that our target has. So things aren't all that great. Ashley Chadmorn asks, what classes do you feel are the strongest and which do you feel are the weakest and why? Now from what I've played on the beta over the past months, I would have to say that Red Paladins are looking really strong. feral druids and DKs as well, mostly melee classes, but I might only be thinking this because I'm playing from the perspective of a warlock, so it's really hard to say, and it's the same thing for the weakest class. It's hard to call as everyone seems to be doing way less damage, but if I had to name a couple of classes that seem pretty weak, it would be warlocks and mages, and that is mainly because of our spell changes. Of course, warlocks have lost Fell Flame, Ember Taps barely heal for anything, and I've heard Affliction warlocks have had some rough changes to soul shards and soul swap, and mages, to me at least, actually seem to be doing the least damage of any class on the beta, and of course their deep freeze now breaks on damage, which is just a fucking massive nerf, so I'd have to say warlock or mage. Finally, Dave Epstein asks, for a competitive player who has not played in a while, do you think it's necessary to research a class or a spec that is doing well in the Warlords beta before rolling as one in retail, or can you still pick up any class or spec and be successful if you're a good player? I like to think that you can play virtually any spec within reason depending on the expansion, and be successful with it if you put enough into it. Mages and Warlocks are an awesome example this expansion. If you really push yourself, you can reach some really high ratings as any spec belonging to either of these two classes. However, there are certain specs like a Mage's Arcane spec that will almost never be able to push a higher rating than the highest rated Frost Mage, for example. So I suppose it really comes down to whether or not you are okay with people being higher rated than you just because of what spec they play. If you don't care about that and just want to play what you want to play, then definitely feel free to pick up any class and just go ham with it. But if you are really aiming for the top, as in rank 1 stuff, I suppose it's usually best to test things out on the beta, just to make sure that the class you want to play is really highly arena viable and works alongside other strong classes in a solid 3v3 comp. Alright, Sunday's video isn't complete until I give some shout outs to the people who've become sponsors to the channel and the videos on Patreon, and these people are Evelyn Lima, Raymond Lynn Seth, Carl Asplund, and Andre Bergland, a name which I know for a fact I'm not pronouncing correctly. Hugely appreciated from all of you guys. Thank you also so much for the support. It really does mean more to me than you know, and helps keep the channel on the rise. And thanks to everyone who's donated via PayPal, most of which happened while I was streaming. Again, equally appreciated, and it definitely helped me keep on doing what I'm doing, both on Twitch as well as YouTube. And that is going to be all for this video. I'm really looking forward to skimming through the comments and seeing what you guys think about Warlords so far. I hope I didn't come across as being too pessimistic or something. I am still hopeful for the future of WoW, and I really hope that you guys are as well. Have an awesome Sunday. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay Destro, and I'll catch you all a little bit later.